This is Delhi. Please stand by for our next program. This is All India Radio. In the national program of talks, tonight, we bring you an interview entitled Colors and Landscapes, in which Shri Zargar Zahoor, famous Kashmiri painter and academician, is in conversation with Srimati Shubhra Majumdar, art critic and columnist.
Zargar Zahoor, welcome to our studios. Great pleasure having you, especially since you've come and you've painted the studios in your colors with your smiling face and a typical visage of a painter. I wish our audiences could see, but I'm sure they can imagine the painter in front of me sitting here, Zargar Zahoor, known for his beautiful art and his association with so many other aspects of life, because I understand you're a teacher, you're an artist, you're an art educator, and even in art you have been also a graphic designer besides the fine art teacher. You wear so many hats. Where do I start? Where do I end?
Thank you, Shubhra. As you said, that I have started sketching from the studio. My mother was a radio drama artist. So I used to go to the studio, Kashmir radio, All India Radio.
I'll interrupt you. Your mother being a drama artist in the radio, you followed her with your sketchbook
Of course.
every morning.
Every morning. In the evening, because they had a recording program in the evening, so I used to take my sketchbook along when I used to come from the college, and I used to sketch in the studio. So I started sketching from the studio. So today I'm staying in the studio. I remember my mother, because she used to take me always all along. You can come with me and you will enjoy there. So I started my main program, from the radio.
So now how is it that you made the crossover? You should have been a radio artist. How did you become a full-time fine arts artist?
That I don't know, how I became a fine artist. Even radio art is also a part of fine art.
Yes,
so
that is. I meant with the paint and brush.
Yes, paint and brush.
So did you do a formal course in art or what was it?
Yeah, I was a student of MS University, Baroda. I studied 7 years. I did 5 years BFA and then 2 years master's degree from there.
Is there any history behind your travelling all the way to Baroda to do your thing at the
yes, of course.
The degree out there at Siaji Rao University?
Yeah, since my childhood, I was very much interested in painting. So मैंने एक बार mother से बोला, because I want to go to Baroda. She said, no, there's a test. You have to go through the test. And there was a culture academy in Srinagar. So I applied for the scholarship.
To go and study at the Culture
Yes,
Academy?
They used to give scholarship for the students to join the MSU Baroda. So I applied for that, but they said our budget system is very tight. So then my father had a friend, he was a chief minister of that time, GM Sadiq. So he said, no, I cannot go for you. My father had a friend, Motilal Misri. So with Motilal Misri, along with him, I went to the GM Sadiq.
On your own?
On your own.
To request him for the scholarship money, I suppose?
Yes.
But how were you so confident that you will get through the test and reach Baroda?
I was very much confident.
And how did you get that
When
confidence?
I got the scholarship, I went straight to the Baroda and met the dean there. I said, I have got a scholarship from J&K government, so I have come here to study. He said, you have to go through a test, but our test's already over.
Oh, so you couldn't appear in the general test. They had to take a special test for you.
Yeah, they took a special test of me because I had a letter from G.R. Santosh, a great painter of India. So I showed him that letter. I said, okay, we'll take a test. If you go through the test, then we'll accept you. Otherwise, you have to go back, even if your scholarship has been already sanctioned. I said, okay. Then they gave me some still life drawings. He said, you just paint it. So I painted it for around 2 hours. Then I showed them. They said, okay, you're fine. So,
and what was the still life? What were the objects that you had to do? And why do you think, looking back, that you were selected? I mean, still life is basic art, which every art student does.
That was kind of test they used to take, because the still life, it's very difficult. It is very difficult in the sense that they had given me some perspective things, something square. Right. So I had to create a perspective out of this. So then when I showed them, they said, no, this
By
is a photograph.
perspective, you mean the shadow effect, the distance?
The distance. Because when you make a square, when it's on the ground, so it creates sort of perspective. So then I showed him that drawing. He said, okay, it's all right. So you are selected for this. So I was selected in the month of June, 7th June, but already classes were started in the 1st June.
Okay. So you were a week late for classes.
I was a week late for the classes, and they gave me a graphic class in the beginning. There were 30 students in class. So first year had 10 different batches of 30 students.
Were you one of the first to come out of J&K and come to Baroda?
No. There were a lot of other, my teachers, I should say. I had joined college in Srinagar. It was an art college. There I find that there are teachers from Baroda. So I got the idea from there.
Yes.
Let me go also. Let's try. So I tried, so I got it.
And among your fellow students, were there students from Kashmir?
Very few. There were few students from there. So it was a nice time. I have spent very good years. I mean, that is, I can say that I'm half Kashmiri, half Gujarati. Because I love Gujarat.
Because of
people,
7 years.
They're very nice people there. Very nice. I have spent very good years. I mean, my childhood almost, I mean, the prime youth of my...
of your life you spent there. Can you recall any particular teacher at MSU that you still go back to or you still remember, or are they all of them?
I remember my teacher who taught me for 7 years. It's Jairam Patel. One of the...
Yes, he has just passed away.
He was my teacher. Shubhra Majumdar was my teacher.
Manuda.
KG Shubhra Majumdar.
Yes.
And there were other teachers also. Shankuda was also there at that time, but he used to teach sculpture. There were Bendre was there. So there were great teachers there. Really great. I was a student. I never had an idea they are so great.
What do you remember about their teaching? Because the names that you have done is like repeating history of Indian art.
Yes, of
they
course.
are the biggest names in our art field.
I have seen Manida working there in the studio. He was very quiet, very silent person. But he was a dean and head of the painting department. After his deanship, after his working hours in the office, he used to paint there. So I used to go and see him in the studio. It was really nice to watch him, how he paints.
And have you imbibed some of his techniques, or do you remember something? Do you recall something when you paint of Monida's style?
Because I was in an applied art and a graphic designing course, so we were not in painting section. But I don't know why, looking at these painters while they were painting, something has clicked to me. Mm-hmm. It was in my mind. So when I joined this Jamia Islamia, so this thing came out there abruptly.
You wanted to paint.
I wanted to paint because I saw there 3-4 teachers. It was Ramachandran Nair, Paramjit Singh, Jatin Das.
These also are great names.
Great names. So it was a blessing for me that I was blessed with these teachers and these colleagues.
So they inspired you into painting. Now tell me, every holiday you must have returned back to Kashmir and things like that. So the association with Kashmir has lived on in your life?
Of course, every time. My roots are there. Mentally, I'm here in Delhi. Physically, I'm here in Delhi, but mentally, I'm at Kashmir. Always.
You almost said it right, that mentally I am here in Kashmir. That means it is there.
Yeah.
Which era of Kashmir did you sort of come out and become lecturer at Jamia Millia?
I finished my course in 1980s. I came back to Srinagar from Baroda. Right. I spent 5 years there in Kashmir. 4 to 5 years.
And how were those 5 years?
Great. I was teaching in the Institute of Music and Fine Arts for 5 years. It was really nice because I had to teach because I had taken a scholarship from JK Academy for 5 years. So I had to spend these 5 years there. So after completing my 5 years, I applied outside J&K. So I got this chance in Jamia Millia. In Kashmir, in those days, it was very good. It was really beautiful.
That's a huge word to use, beautiful. Yeah. It is almost the size of a painting canvas.
You had a freedom, every kind of freedom. You can go anywhere, you can paint anywhere. But I don't think these days we don't get that type of freedom there.
Have you been returning? I know physically you are settled in Delhi and everything, but do you visit Kashmir or do you return back to Kashmir every time?
I had returned back to Kashmir after my retirement. but I shifted back to Delhi. So now there's a tug of war between me and my wife. She said, no, we will stay at Kashmir. I said, no, we will stay at Delhi. So there's a tug of war going on.
So it is the artist versus the human being deciding, the pragmatic and the artistic.
I have decided I'll stay 6 months here and 6 months at Kashmir.
So you're making a compromise.
Yes, I'm making a compromise. Because I want to paint it there in the Kashmir. And the real life of the people, real scenes there. Because we have 4 seasons there. You can feel those 4 seasons.
Tell us about the 4 seasons of Kashmir that you want to paint.
Yeah, you can see those 4 seasons.
Tell us the summer in Kashmir. Most of us know it as touristy Kashmir with lots and lots of visitors around Dal Lake and around the shops in Srinagar and things like that. Or the pilgrimages to the various pilgrim spots of Kashmir.
Summer is colorful.
Yes.
Throughout you will find flowers. Really, of different kinds. Valley means full of flowers. Not only flowers, you will find the atmosphere. You find the mountains of different colors.
Describe to us the colors that you see in the mountains.
Oh my God, every time they have different colors. Sometimes you won't find it in the mountain there. There's nothing there because it's all in the mist.
Yes.
Within few...
and the mist is a grey mist, white mist, blue mist. What do you see as an artist?
It's a greyish mist. There in the morning you will find there's no mountains there. You will find it's all sky. But after some time you will find the snow peaks will come out. Mountain also comes out.
So you paint at different times?
Yeah, I would like to paint at different times. Because every time you will find the light changes. So I love to paint these lights. Because I'm an impressionist painter.
Yes.
I want to paint these lights. I'm painting these lights. Here I paint these lights by imagination. But there I want to paint them on the spot.
Is there a difference when you paint what you imagine?
Yeah, there's a lot of difference. Sometimes I sketch outside and paint inside the studio. I love that. Because here I interpret myself. There I can report only. So I want to interpret my paintings.
Difference. Now tell us about the summer is over and the next season.
Autumn.
Autumn.
The best. Oranges, reds and greens. Beautiful colors, especially chinar trees.
That's the orange and brown, I can imagine.
Yeah, orange and brown and with a little green inside.
The fresh leaves coming out.
No, the dead leaves.
Still with a tinge of green.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the old dark green in there.
In Kashmir, you will find everything is art. Even a person walking with this paran is also an art. A sculpture is walking.
That's well said. Yes, with the typical posture and that kind of effect down the street is art.
Then comes the dull season. October, November.
Yes.
It's the season and it's really dull. But quiet. You'll find there is nobody there. Silence is there. Trees are very silent.
So you paint the silence?
Yes, I love to paint that silence.
And how is
also.
that done?
Because we have to use the colors as such colors, silent colors.
Which are?
Silence are just mauves are there, magentas are there, greys are there. They're silent colors. They don't cry. I love those colors. So I want to paint silent. Recently I came to know that these trees sleep for 3 months. You can cut them, you can do them anything. They don't feel it. But after March you cannot cut them. So I feel there's a real silence there.
Yeah,
so
even the trees are asleep.
They are asleep. Because I recently found it out that they are asleep. I've always wanted to paint silence there.
That's a very, unique approach for us. And what about the winter? One mass of white.
Oh my God. This winter is really beautiful. You will find all over white. There are little just blocks of dark color. Just dark colors. A hut with a dark color and the mountain. Throughout, all over you will find a snow over it. It looks really beautiful.
So that is...
It's all artistic.
Well said. But do you like to paint an entire panorama or do you restrict yourself to a small image within which to paint?
It depends upon my mood. If I have got a big canvas, so I paint a full panorama. If small, then I take just a section of that area. I love to paint both.
Both.
Yeah.
So size is not a problem.
Size is not a problem. I have painted bigger sizes, 10 feet by 30 feet, 30 feet by 30 feet.
That's huge.
I love
but
to paint
that is physically taxing to paint something 30 feet.
Actually, I have people called me a fastest painter. I had been recently to China. They said, you're the fastest painter with acrylic color.
So you must tell us about your techniques of painting.
There are different techniques.
that you paint.
Yeah, I paint with every medium, but I love acrylic these days.
Every medium means oil.
Oils, pastels,
Yes.
watercolor, gouache, this, what do you call it, charcoal, dry pastels. So I paint in every medium. Landscapes, portraits, still lifes. Being a teacher, so I had to paint. I had to practice myself.
And what did you paint in China? Was it conventional?
I was sent by God of India sent me there. So I represented India there. So I painted landscape there. I painted landscape. So they exhibited those landscapes.
And let me guess, they must have been landscapes of Kashmir?
Of course. Because I say the half of the China is like a Kashmir.
So did they mistake your paintings to be parts of China?
Of course, they said this is that part of China. I said, yes, I belong to Kashmir. So really, so it's
So
good.
for them it was not only an art piece but also a bit of geography about Kashmir.
Yeah.
They could find the common links in the two. Tell us about the techniques. As you say, you use every medium. How do you apply your techniques to, or what techniques do you use for application on every kind of medium?
Actually, every medium has its own technique.
Yes.
So one has to get little training, little tuning. That's important for a person. So one has to practice it. So I use acrylic in different ways.
For instance?
I use it like oil. I don't use water. I use it thick directly from the tube. I use thin layers and thick layers directly from the tube.
And what about the brushes?
I like the Bristol brushes, special Bristol brushes. We call them hog hair. So I love those hog hair. They can drag the colors. They can rub the colors. So they're the beautiful brushes. I mean the durable brushes also. So I love good colors. I use costly colors. I mean the colors which has good dyeing quality, which has got luster. So I use colors also. Even canvas, I use the high quality canvas.
So does that have that lasting quality, not only as far as the art is concerned, but also in preservation, etc.?
Yeah, that's absolutely. It's very important to use a good material so that we can preserve it.
And tell me about dry pastels, because that is not as,
No, we have got a very good dry pastels these days here in the market. But if you want to preserve it, we can spray it. We get a fixative. So we spray it over it, and so it is preserved.
So it becomes
preserved.
lasts just as long as acrylic or oil or something
Of
like
course.
that.
Yes.
In the thing. Charcoal, is there any special technique or any special brands that
Dry
you
pastel.
have to?
There are different brands of charcoal.
What is
of
your
dry
preference?
pastels. I mostly prefer my own charcoal.
You make them? And then you must tell us listeners about it.
It's a grapes creeper.
Right. So the main vine, the wood of that
wood of that, we burn it. The best charcoal is that. So I get the pieces of that wood and then I put it in a box and I burn it.
So you produce your
I
own...
produce my own charcoal. And pastels I get ready-made from the market, and dry pastels also I get from the market. Even we get oil pastels also. There are different pastels.
Yes.
There are crayons. Crayons have got a wax in it. जो बच्चे use करते हैं. And
Even a child uses that. So that means all these have to be, sprayed over once you finish your work?
Except oil pastels.
They have that
Dry
protective layer in it.
They have that. I always preserve these things with this fixative.
Yeah. So
But we need a good fixative for that. Very qualitative fixative so that you can not change the colors. The moment we spray it, so if there are two colors, yellow and blue, when you spray it, it will turn green.
Tendency to turn green, yes.
So there you have to have a good fixative so that change won't happen.
The two colors don't merge.
Merge together.
As such. You just now mentioned that you also do still portraits. Apart from, the portraits in Kashmir, have you done portraits per se of personalities in our country?
Yeah,
such?
I have done portrait.
And where are they displayed, perhaps?
It is displayed in the Parliament House.
Okay, so that's an important place.
That's an important place.
Is that a national leader or something like that?
Yeah, there were three, Lal, Bal and Paul.
Okay, the three. So you painted all the three, Lal, Bal and Pal.
It was Bipin Chandra Pal. I painted there. Then I was facilitated there in the Parliament House.
Okay.
They called me there.
Right. Naturally, the painter. But he was personality, I don't know. I don't think you could have interacted with him. So is it easier to paint a person whom you do not have like a sitting portrait, or is it easier to paint from photographs and other sources?
Yeah, it is easier to paint from the photograph, but you don't get that life there when you paint from the photograph. When you paint from the model in front of you, so that portrait is totally different.
So you used a model to paint?
No, they gave me the photograph.
Okay.
So to paint from this, they gave me 5-6 photographs. Then I selected one photograph, and it was 3 feet by 6 feet.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty
Very good
large
size.
one as such. And the medium you used, was it oil? Or?
It was oil.
It was
oil color.
Right.
Yeah, it's oil color.
You've also been just mentioned that you made your entry into art virtually with still life. Have you continued doing still life works even now?
Yeah, I do at least 3-4 still lifes per day. I love to paint still lifes by imagination.
By imagination.
Yeah.
So then how is that a still life? We always know that it is, the student is given certain objects in certain placements and you have to paint, and that is your still life painting. How do you paint a still life from imagination?
Yeah, it's very difficult, but for me, I just go to the canvas and start painting. I said I have to paint. It's like going to the canvas place.
Right.
So once you decide that I have to paint still life, I just start painting, giving fresh lines in the beginning, just scratches. Then it turns into beautiful still life.
And is it flowers or objects?
I love flowers and objects, both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do your still lifes have a combination of them, or is it exclusivity, like flowers in one painting, objects in another
I
painting?
love to paint flowers. And both objects and flowers, but I want to combine both objects and flowers.
So that means flowers in a vase or something like that, usually?
In a vase or in a tokery,
Okay.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I have
in a container.
In
or
a container
something.
or something.
Of
Yeah.
some sort. And are they all flowers from Kashmir?
People gave them different names. I said, I don't know which flower I have painted. But it is from the imagination, whatever has come from my mind.
Whatever has come forth, you have painted.
Yeah.
But more than anything, recently, your recent exhibition, which took place in Delhi, you painted a huge number of scenes out of your recent visit to Kashmir. Would you like to talk about those paintings?
Yeah, I had 2 types of paintings there. The 50% were from Kashmir. 10 paintings were from Srinagar and 10 from Delhi.
Right. So
And
can
five
you describe
still lifes were there.
Okay. The Srinagar paintings as such.
If you have seen the show, it's a different color scheme, a dark.
And yet you are a painter of Kashmir's seasons. There is no dark season there.
When you see the things yourself there, when I feel things there.
That is the current situation
current
there?
situation, the colors automatically came out.
Those dark colors.
Those dark colors, those browns are there. But still there are colors which has given them some hope. Also, I painted browns, reds, blues, every color, but still they are all dark. They are drifting away. Everything is going off from the scene, something like that. When you stand there in the market, you'll find everything is going away from you, something like that.
It doesn't there is not that closeness. There's been a lot of use of, a hazy red across your canvases. Is there a significance behind that red usage?
Red we can use for a love also. Red you can use for a danger also. It's up to the viewer how he perceives it.
All right. So you have used the red and left the interpretation of that color to your viewer.
Yes, I always leave to the viewer. Because most of the time people say, why don't you pick the perfect thing, whatever is there? I said, nothing, let the viewer decide. It's their job now.
You have done your contribution to it.
Yes.
When do you know that a painting is over and there is no more to be done?
It's like a music. It's like cooking. Painting is exactly like cooking. You add everything, all these ingredients, then you see how much salt you have to add. Whether salt is little more or little less. So then it's like cooking.
So the adjustment of the salt in your painting is your masterpiece stroke.
Of course. Yeah, there's a final stroke. That's salt. How much salt to add? That's the final stroke there.
And that ends it all. You have just mentioned that you have enjoyed your life as a teacher, and having done the entire thing across your life, having retired as the dean, can you look back on how you have interacted and what you have carried away from those students?
Everything. It was the students who taught me.
How is that?
Because basically I'm a graphic designer. So every day I had to correct at least 300-400 layouts. Check them, correct them, give them little corrections, discussion with them. So those things which I corrected, so they had to make them then the final layouts. They were all my layouts. My layouts means corrected by me. So that was my imagination. So these things taught me a lot.
And now that you have moved away from the actual classroom, of course you are still very much around as the teacher, you have been known to give a lot of public attention
Yes.
to art. How did that come about and what is that experience like?
Actually, after retirement, I wanted to teach because there are very few painters in India who can teach as well as paint, and they explain. So if there are painters, artists there, they can explain their own painting, but they cannot teach paint. Teaching is very important for me. I want to teach. So for that, I have started the classes here in the Art Center, Zahoor's Art Center. I want people to learn art. I want to teach art. So students are coming. The elders are coming and retired persons are coming. We want to relax because painting is not just to sell. It is to relax your brain. It relax your muscles. When you paint on a paper with a brush, so you play with it, you get something, whatever is in your mind, whatever is boggling in your mind, it comes out through paint, through lines.
So that's a huge public service you are doing. On that note, I must say a big thank you. And before long, we will all be queuing outside your studio as students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shubhra.
You were listening to an interview entitled Colors and Landscapes, in which Shri Zargar Zahoor, famous Kashmiri painter and academician, was in conversation with Srimati Shubhra Majumdar, art critic and columnist. With assistance in production from Shahnawaz Khan and produced and presented by Naveen K. Gupta, this program was broadcast in our national program of talks and came to you from the Delhi station of All India Radio.